Straightforward conversations, no filters, beyond the headlines, just the facts. This is the Newsmaker. Thank you for joining Newswatch Plus. I'm Tristan Udalo. The core defense team of former President Rodrigo Duterte has been finalized, with the lead counsel Nicholas Kaufman aiming to secure an early dismissal of Duterte's ICC case. In a previous interview with Newswatch Plus, Kaufman said the defense will question the ICC jurisdiction over Duterte's case and will seek a temporary release for the former president. Meanwhile, the victims of Duterte's war on drugs said they have been at the receiving end of targeted online harassment and threats. The Amnesty International called Duterte's turnover to the ICC a monumental step towards justice. Today's Newsmaker, Amnesty International Secretary General and former United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial Killing, Agnes Callamard. Ms. Callamard, how significant was the turnover of former President Rodrigo Duterte to the International Criminal Court for someone like you who closely monitored the Duterte administration's war on drugs at its height?
Very significant. It was a moment where I felt there was hope. It was a moment where I recalled all the victims who testified to me. I recalled all the lawyers who put together painstakingly brutal cases of killings. I recalled the civil society organization. I recalled the journalist, the photojournalist, who did a fantastic, amazing work ensuring that the killings did not disappear off the international agenda. Moment, but it was also a very sad moment, because you remember everything, and you remember all those who have lost their loved ones. I also would like to say that the arrest of President Duterte is important for the world. It's of course important for the Philippines, but I've just told you how bad the situation is around the world, where the most powerful leaders are deliberately suggesting that there is no international standard, that there is no international law. We are living in an era where the most powerful president of all, President Trump, is sanctioning international justice and the International Criminal Court. So the arrest of President Duterte is a signal that not everything is lost, that when people come together, when they act for what is right, something good can happen. And in this case, it was the arrest of someone who had overseen the killings of thousands of the most vulnerable population in the Philippines.
What does this sudden turn of events mean for Amnesty International, who conducted a number of investigations on drug war-related killings?
For my colleagues who investigated, for all of us who investigated, but for Amnesty International, it is a moment of reckoning. It is a moment where all our efforts are finally paying off. It does mean that the work that we do, the monitoring, the recording, the report writing, and all associated with it, as power. It also means that people have power when they're prepared to be courageous and when they're prepared to come together and demand justice. So for Amnesty, it is a really important moment. It's a vindication. It gives hope. It gives hope.
As the former Special Rapporteur on Human Rights during the time of the Duterte administration, do you see this as a vindication on your part after being vilified by then former President Duterte, who at times used profanity to describe you?
I actually, for me, I don't to be, it's not about humility per se, but truly, I really don't feel it's about me, about my work. Really, I truly do not think. Because if I had not been there, someone else would have done the work as a special rapporteur, and indeed others did. And we know that my work was largely dependent on the work of people on the ground because I could only go there for a few days. So it is, I think it's vindication for all of us. It is the demonstration that we should not lose sight of what matters. And what matters is that people have been truly ferociously killed in an organized, systematic way. We should not lose sight of individuals, elected individuals, abusing the trust and their power. And we should not lose sight of the fact that everyone can be held to account. No one is above the law, not even President Duterte, who, yes, he went after me. He went after everybody. He went after President Obama, if I'm not mistaken. He went after journalists. He went after everybody. He went after the International Criminal Court. He mocked the International Criminal Court. So here we go. The most powerful man in the Philippines, the one who thought he was above everything, that man is now facing international justice for the crimes he committed. And I know that some people in the Philippines don't believe he should be facing justice. So there is a lot of work to be done as well in the Philippines to make people understand there and elsewhere that this is not justice, that this is not security, that this is not democracy, and that is not serving the people of the Philippines.
Ms. Callamard, the team or the defense team of the former president wants to seek a temporary release for the former president, citing the question over ICC jurisdiction and even his age and current state of health. Do you think there's any weight on this demand or on this particular request?
Oh, I mean, look, if they release him, he will never be back. I don't see, if they release him and he goes back to the Philippines, I do not, I think there will be far too much pressure again. I think it's too high a risk to be taken.
But beyond Duterte, who else do you think should be held accountable for the drug war-related deaths during the time of the former president? And how should the Marcos administration handle this?
Demanded the trial, the future trial of ex-President Duterte is only one piece of the puzzle for justice. It is incumbent upon the Philippine government and judicial system to deliver accountability at domestic level. There is a working justice system, and it needs to be strengthened for sure. It needs to be tested, but it should not run away from its responsibilities. And what does it entail? It certainly entails holding to account those in charge of the police. I would like to mention former police colonel Roina Garma, who has more or less publicly confessed that Duterte asked her to replicate the Davao model. So everyone who had authority over police officers must be held to account for their participation into the crime against humanity. And then there is the individual themselves, the police officers themselves. It may be too many of them, but it will be important for the court, where it has evidence for the specific police officers' possible crime, for them to be held to account. My recollection of the situation is that there were some administrative steps taken, but never really criminal steps taken against individuals, police officers. So that too need to happen. This is why Amnesty International is really insisting that the authorities must now empower all of those involved in the delivery of justice to do their work independently, objectively, and impartially.
Supporters of former President Duterte keep on questioning the official numbers or the numbers being used when it comes to drug war-related deaths. What is Amnesty's international final estimate when it comes to the killings that were committed during the Duterte drug war?
We don't really have the number that you are looking for. We are using usually the official number, which is 6,000 drug-related killings. And then we go on to say, but there are many more, including thousands more killings that have not been accounted for, which may be linked to non-police officers, which may be linked to police officers' actions. Some have estimated that the actual number of killings is 3 to 4 times higher than the official number. What it shows is the importance of truth-telling in the context of the Marcos administration. It has now an historical role to play. What is it? It is to deliver truth to the people of the Philippines. It is to do a real exercise in truth-telling so that the numbers of the killings and indeed the list of all people killed can be established. Civil society journalists started establishing those lists. They now must be looked at, they must be strengthened, they must be made public and used in a court of law.
Okay. And finally, Ms. Callamard, do you believe that the Philippines should rejoin the ICC?
President Marcos has a big opportunity now, which is to go back to the International Criminal Court. And we at Amnesty are certainly calling on him now that President Duterte is sitting in an ICC jail. We are calling on him to return to the International Criminal Court. That will be yet another formidable sign that the Philippines means business and that the Philippines is on the side of justice.
Agnes Callamard of Amnesty International and former UN Special Rapporteur on EJ case, thank you so much for your time and for granting this interview.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely afternoon.
We will continue to deliver just the facts and the news you need. Until our next Newsmaker, I'm Tristan Udalo.